Hey Xavier, I don't know what it is about this phone or this camera on this phone, but every time I think it's taking a video, it turns out that it isn't. And then I have to restart, which is, I suppose, a bit annoying. But it seems to be playing at the moment. I am in the New Forest, which is about 75 kilometers south of London, southwest, I suppose. And the reason I am here was because, well, basically, England as a whole is a pretty homogenized place. I mean, the place I'm in at the moment, although it's meant to be famous for being the nearest to a wilderness that the UK has, which, as you can see, is extremely far from the fact, isn't saying much. The reason I came down here now was because I have a practice of only really, when I have the opportunity, only really visiting places in England that might have some natural beauty or something worth seeing for their own sake, when I recently returned from somewhere significantly different. Because England as a whole is such a homogenized, drab place. I mean, the scenery around me really isn't all that far different from the sort of thing you could get 5 minutes from my house, which I am a bit lucky in that case. But anyhow, so that really doesn't make that much sense to immerse yourself in the New Forest, in quotation marks, if you've just come down from London, because it seems like very much more of the same thing. And I figured, since I was going to be to the mildly deserty and arid and rocky regions of Tenerife a week before, then on the following weekend I'd book myself down to something different. And not entirely unsurprisingly, I'm finding it all sort of boring at the moment. The difference hasn't been enough to actually make it worth coming down to see this, which, as you can see, is it's known as the New Forest, and Londoners really like to kid themselves into thinking that they're seeing a bit of nature when they boot down the motorway on a weekend to wander around in it. But as you can see, it's a bit like a big park, and I have a very big park about 10 minutes walk from my house. Another reason that I came down this weekend was because it has been at least 8 months, I think, although I haven't properly worked it out, since I took psychedelics of any kind. You'll remember that I had to go onto mirtazapine, which is an SSRI, a few months ago, which completely threw a spanner in the works of all my plans. Here are some walkers. I'll go in this direction. And another factor to do with mirtazapine is that it tends to blunt the effect of shrooms. It turns out it blunts the effects of LSD as well. Not that I knew that at the time, but I should have done my research. So anyhow, another reason that I came down here was because I wanted to do some psychedelics, and I needed my privacy for that. So I booked a hotel room in a fairly posh establishment, one where I could, it's quite expensive, but I could get some privacy to myself and wouldn't have to share a kitchen and other things with other people and share toilets and all that. It was basically extremely out of my price range, but whatever. And came down yesterday and took some shrooms. I took 2 grams of shrooms Usually 1 gram is enough. 2 grams, I felt some slight effects. It really wasn't worth it. But no funeral, because tomorrow, i.e. this morning, would be the great day that I would do LSD and see the illusory of perception and etc., etc., and be the first day of the rest of my life. So I woke up this morning. Apparently trips can be extremely long, so I wanted to get it done as quickly as possible. So I started cutting up this tab that I acquired a year ago. Took a bit, took another bit, did some meditation, no amazing effect. And then finally I decided to research. I don't know, I thought I had done this research before, but apparently I hadn't done it properly, because yes, mirtazapine can dull significantly the effects of LSD to the extent that it's not even worth doing it if you are on it. So that was a massive wasted opportunity, and now I have the rest of the day to wander around in this farce that passes as nature. And not much else to do with my weekend. I've actually booked tonight, and I don't see any particular reason why I should stay over tonight, but a hotel room is paid for, so I might as well. So I made some very brief notes on my trip to Tenerife, which I suppose I'll end up expanding when I next write to you. I was hoping that the effects of my LSD trip in the New Forest would be so utterly mind expanding that there would be little space to note the fact that, oh, by the way, before I saw through the illusoriness of all perception, I happened to spend 3 days in Tenerife, but whatever. But turns out there's nothing to report from here, so I will have to expand on the brief notes that I've made during my time in Tenerife. And on that subject, it occurs to me that Tenerife isn't actually how I say it. I say Tenerife, which is the way I've always heard it said. Basically, the only people who ever spend their time in Tenerife are, chubby type people who, oh yeah, me and my sister went to Tenerife, soaked up the sun for a couple of days, it was lovely. That sort of person, so. But I guess I'm that sort of person now, because I'm the sort of person who goes to Tenerife. Anyhow, I hope you've seen enough of the New Forest to know that it's really not worth coming to. And hope you're doing good.